The movie centers around this guy named Casey Bowman, who basically grew up inside a martial arts dojo in Japan. The dojo is run by this wise old master, Takeda Sensei, who has trained warriors for decades. Casey's been under his wing since he was a kid and has dedicated his life to the art of Bushido. That's the whole honor, discipline, and respect thing the samurai and ninjas followed. Over time, Casey earns not only Takeda's respect, but also catches the attention of Takeda's daughter, Namiko. Now, Casey and Namiko clearly have a soft spot for each other, and anyone with eyes can tell. Even Takeda notices the chemistry and gently warns them both not to let emotions mess with their training. According to him, a warrior needs a calm mind and zero distractions to reach their full potential. One evening, Takeda opens this ancient chest, revealing something super valuable, a set of ninja armor and weapons called the Yoroi Bitsu. It's been handed down for generations, from one grandmaster to the next. Takeda explains how ninjas first appeared back in the 15th century, hired as spies, saboteurs, and assassins. While samurai followed strict codes of honor and fought openly, ninjas worked in the shadows, poisoning enemies or sneaking behind enemy lines. The Yoroi Bitsu represented that whole legacy, power, skill, secrecy, all packed into one treasure. Takeda knows his time as the Grandmaster won't last forever. When he's gone, someone worthy will inherit not only the dojo, but also this legendary armor. He calls all his students together and announces that the two top fighters in the dojo are Casey and another guy named Masazuka. But only one of them will eventually become the next Grandmaster. Now here's the thing. Masazuka doesn't take the news well at all. He's furious that Casey, the orphan boy who was abandoned as a baby, is even being compared to him. Masazuka thinks he's leagues ahead in skill, and to make matters worse, he can't stand the closeness between Casey and Namiko. So yeah, jealousy levels are off the charts. Despite the tension, both Casey and Masazuka keep training hard. Casey is always the last one to leave the dojo, pushing himself to the limit, and everyone notices his dedication. The next day, Takeda announces a sparring match between the two to finally settle things. Before the fight, Masazuka tries to mess with Casey's head, taunting him about his parents abandoning him. Takeda steps in, warning Masazuka not to cross the line because actions have consequences. When the sparring begins, Masazuka doesn't hold back at all. He fights with pure rage, ignoring every rule of honor. At one point, he even goes as far as to nearly kill Casey with a katana strike to the chest. Casey barely manages to block in time, and, acting in self-defense, slashes Masazuka under his right eye. Takeda has seen enough. The way Masazuka let hatred take over is a disgrace to everything the dojo stands for. As punishment, Takeda expels him on the spot. Masazuka, humiliated and angry beyond words, vows revenge on the entire dojo before walking away. Years pass. We jump to New York, where this shady secret group called the Ring is welcoming new members in some weird ritual, branding their symbol onto people's chests. Turns out, Masazuka now works for them as a deadly mercenary. We even see him assassinating some Russian businessmen who got on the Ring's bad side. Yeah, the guy's gone full dark side. Meanwhile, back in Japan, Takeda gathers his students once again because it's time to pass down the Yoroi Bitsu after decades of being the keeper. Right then, Masazuka storms in, demanding to be named the new Grandmaster. Takeda flat out refuses, and Masazuka threatens everyone before leaving, promising they'll regret this. Takeda, knowing Masazuka will come for the Yoroi Bitsu, entrusts Casey and Namiko with protecting it. He believes Casey's pure heart makes him the right person for the job. So, Casey and Namiko smuggle the treasure to New York, hiding it inside a university vault with help from Takeda's old friend, Professor Garrison. While they're busy securing the treasure, Masazuka prepares for his attack back in Japan. Takeda sits calmly in meditation, waiting for whatever's coming. One night, Masazuka finally launches his assault on the dojo. He wipes out every single student with cold precision until only Takeda is left. The fight between master and former student begins, but there's a twist. Masazuka doesn't realize the real treasure isn't even there anymore. He's killing everyone for an empty box. The duel escalates, but Masazuka cheats. He cuts the lights and uses night vision goggles while Takeda relies on his senses alone. The fight ends tragically when Masazuka uses poison against his old master. As Takeda lies dying, he says he regrets ever letting Masazuka into the dojo. Those words hit hard, but Masazuka still delivers the final blow, killing him. Before leaving, Masazuka notices a ringing phone with Professor Garrison's name on it. That's when he realizes the Yoroi Bitsu is actually in New York. He immediately calls the ring, telling them to track down Garrison. Back in New York, Casey is busy catching up with some family matters, trying to find a friend of his late mother, only to learn she passed away months ago. He heads back to Professor Garrison's place, telling Namiko about everything. But things are about to get messy. Masazuka's assassins are already on their way. Not just after Casey and Namiko, but also Professor Garrison and his entire family. Masazuka's men show no mercy. They storm through like a hurricane, leaving nothing but destruction behind. Every single one of Master Takeda's loyal students puts up a fight, trying desperately to protect the Yoroi Bitsu, this ancient treasure that means everything to their clan. It's brutal to watch, but you can't help but admire their courage. They knew they didn't stand a chance, yet none of them backed down. Amid the chaos, somehow, Casey and Namiko survive. Call it luck, call it fate, but they manage to slip away before Masazuka's men can finish them off. Beaten down, shaken, and carrying the weight of what just happened, the two find shelter in a small roadside inn, hoping to catch their breath and figure out their next move. But peace doesn't last long. As they sit there, trying to process everything, the TV in the corner delivers a punch to the gut. A breaking news story announces that Casey and Namiko are the prime suspects in the massacre at Professor Garrison's house. According to the report, they're wanted for the murder of the professor and his entire family. It's a setup, obviously, but now the police are after them too. Namiko, scared and exhausted, suggests they go to the police and explain the truth. Maybe then someone will finally believe them. But Casey shakes his head. He knows better. The moment they step into a police station, they'll be thrown behind bars, and Masazuka will snatch the Yoroi Bitsu without anyone stopping him. No, they need a plan, and fast. First priority, hide the treasure somewhere safe before it falls into the wrong hands. The next morning, Casey wakes up and realizes Namiko isn't in the room. Panic hits him hard. He rushes downstairs, looking everywhere until he finally spots her near the cafe counter. For a split second, he relaxes. But then he notices something else. The cafe owner keeps glancing nervously at a newspaper, and outside the window, a pair of men in dark clothes stand watching the place like hawks. Casey instantly knows what's up. Masazuka's men have found them again. The fight breaks out fast. Henchmen storm the cafe, weapons ready, but Casey and Namiko aren't easy targets. They take them down with precision, years of training, kicking, and automatically. But it's not over yet. Outside, more men wait. The chase spills onto the streets, bullets flying, people screaming. Casey and Namiko sprint through alleys, finally ducking into the subway, hoping to lose their pursuers in the crowded station. For a while, it seems to work. They blend in with commuters, keeping their heads low. But the mercenaries are relentless, checking every train car one by one. Eventually, a fight erupts right inside a packed subway carriage. It's chaos, passengers screaming, metal clanging, fists flying everywhere. Outnumbered but not outmatched, Casey and Namiko fight like demons, their dojo training turning the tide. One by one, Masazuka's men hit the floor. They manage to escape the train at the next stop, hearts pounding, only to be surrounded by flashing police lights. Cops swarm in, guns drawn, and before either of them can react, they're in handcuffs. At the station, things get worse. The police interrogate them, but the whole story about secret ninja clans, ancient treasures, and a vengeful ex-student sounds insane to the officers. Nobody believes them. Meanwhile, back at the ring's headquarters, Masazuka demands answers. He wants to know where Casey and Namiko are. One of the men nervously steps forward and admits they failed to find the Yoroi Bitsu. Oh, and by the way, the two suspects are currently sitting in a police station. Wrong answer. Masazuka doesn't even hesitate. He kills the guy right there in front of everyone and warns the rest they'll share his fate if they don't deliver results soon. The tension in the room skyrockets. That night, Masazuka comes up with a plan. Disguised as Namiko's lawyer, he walks straight into the police station like he owns the place. Nobody suspects a thing. Once inside, he cuts the power. Darkness. The cops, confused, head out to check the fuse box, leaving Casey and Namiko alone in the interrogation room. Big mistake. Masazuka moves through the building like a phantom, slicing through officers with his katana, one after another. Namiko is quickly taken outside by police for safety, but Masazuka ambushes them, killing everyone and knocking her out cold. Inside, Casey, tied to a table, breaks free using sheer strength. He steps into the hallway and freezes, bodies everywhere. The place is a graveyard. More cops rush in and yell at Casey to get on the ground, but before anything else can happen, Masazuka attacks again. Amid the chaos, Casey actually saves one officer from getting killed. Realizing Casey isn't the enemy here, the cop lets him go. Now Casey has only one goal: rescue Namiko and stop Masazuka once and for all. Masazuka, meanwhile, holds Namiko captive, demanding to know where the Yoroi Bitsu is hidden. He even admits he killed her father and everyone at the dojo because, in his twisted mind, they betrayed him. Casey tracks down one of the surviving henchmen and gets the information he needs. He storms Temple Industries, fighting his way through the ring's guards like a man possessed. Eventually, he corners their leader, Mr. Call, and forces Masazuka's number out of him. Finally, Casey calls Masazuka. They strike a deal: Namiko's life in exchange for the Yoroi Bitsu. A meeting is set for that night. Before heading there, Casey retrieves the treasure from the university vault. He dons the full ninja armor, performing the traditional ritual just as his sensei taught him. Sword in hand, heart steady, he's ready. But Mr. Call has other plans. He secretly orders his men to kill both Casey and Masazuka and keep the treasure for themselves. At the construction site, the showdown begins. Casey demands Namiko's release first. Masazuka watches as a chest is lowered from a crane, expecting the treasure inside. But when he opens it, it's empty. Too late, he realizes the real treasure isn't in the box. It's standing right behind him. Casey, wearing the full Yoroi Bitsu, steps out of the shadows. Before the two rivals can clash, the ring's men arrive, ambushing everyone. But Casey, Namiko temporarily join forces to wipe out the attackers. Namiko, using the bow from the Yoroi Bitsu, shows she's every bit as deadly as the men. Once the henchmen are down, the final duel begins. Casey versus Masazuka. The villain fights dirty, shooting a poison dart into Namiko and dangling the antidote like a trophy. Fueled by rage, Casey battles with everything he's got. During the struggle, the antidote vial falls and shatters, making things even worse. With police helicopters circling above, Masazuka uses a blinding ninjutsu trick, vanishing into thin air. But Casey remembers his sensei's teachings. Close your eyes, trust your other senses. He does exactly that. When Masazuka strikes again, Casey counters perfectly, driving his blade home. The villain falls, finally defeated. Casey rushes to Namiko, terrified it's too late. Then he remembers something. His sensei once said the ninja sword holds the power to kill and to heal. Searching the weapon, Casey finds a hidden compartment in the hilt. Inside, an antidote vial. He gives it to Namiko, just in time. The poison fades. She lives. Before leaving, Casey gives Masazuka an honorable death, ending the rivalry once and for all. The next day, police clear Casey and Namiko of all charges. The ring's leader is arrested, the organization dismantled, and peace finally restored. With their passports returned, Casey and Namiko head back to Japan. At the dojo, they honor their fallen master's memory and take on the responsibility of protecting the Yoroi Bitsu for future generations. And that's the wild ride of ninja. Action, drama, betrayal. This one had it all. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button, drop a comment to share your thoughts, and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel grow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.